Unmasking the dark side of social media incentive programs, paid harassment against survivors of domestic violence and abuse. In the age of digital connectivity, social media platforms have become central to our daily lives, offering avenues for expression, connection, and activism. However, alongside these benefits lurks a disturbing trend: the weaponization of social media for paid harassment against survivors of domestic violence and abuse. This insidious phenomenon is fueled by incentive programs that prioritize engagement metrics over ethical considerations, perpetuating harm and silencing the voices of those most in need of support. Survivors of domestic violence and abuse often turn to social media as a means of seeking solidarity, sharing their stories, and advocating for change. Yet, their vulnerability in these spaces makes them prime targets for exploitation by individuals and organizations with malicious intent. In recent years, we've witnessed a troubling increase in coordinated efforts to discredit and undermine survivors through the dissemination of false information, manipulation tactics, and outright harassment. At the heart of this issue lies the perverse incentives inherent in social media platforms' algorithms. These algorithms prioritize content that generates high levels of engagement, such as likes, shares, and comments, in order to maximize user retention and advertising revenue. In pursuit of these metrics, unscrupulous actors exploit survivor communities by disseminating sensationalized or defamatory content designed to provoke outrage and garner attention. Moreover, the rise of influencer marketing has created a lucrative industry where individuals and organizations can profit from promoting specific narratives or agendas. In the context of paid harassment against survivors, influencers may be enlisted to amplify false or damaging information under the guise of genuine advocacy or activism. This not only legitimizes the spread of misinformation but also undermines efforts to support survivors and hold perpetrators accountable. One of the most troubling aspects of this phenomenon is its impact on survivors' mental health and well-being. Facing relentless harassment and character assassination online, survivors are forced to relive their trauma in a public forum, often with little recourse for protection or support. The psychological toll of being subjected to constant scrutiny, gaslighting, and threats can exacerbate existing trauma and deter survivors from seeking help or speaking out in the future. Furthermore, the proliferation of paid harassment against survivors serves to perpetuate harmful myths and stereotypes about domestic violence and abuse. By casting doubt on survivors' credibility and painting them as attention seekers or liars, these campaigns reinforce societal attitudes that trivialize or dismiss the experiences of those who come forward. This not only undermines efforts to raise awareness and combat domestic violence but also contributes to a culture of victim blaming and impunity. Addressing the root causes of this issue requires a multifaceted approach that involves collaboration between social media platforms, policymakers, advocacy groups, and survivor communities. Platforms must take proactive measures to identify and remove harmful content, enforce community guidelines, and prioritize the safety and well-being of users, particularly those who are most vulnerable to abuse. This may involve implementing stricter moderation policies, enhancing transparency and accountability mechanisms, and investing in resources for education and support. Policymakers also have a role to play in holding social media platforms accountable for their role in facilitating paid harassment against survivors. Legislation and regulation aimed at curbing online harassment, protecting privacy rights, and combating misinformation can help create a safer and more equitable online environment for all users. Additionally, increased funding for support services and resources for survivors of domestic violence and abuse is essential to ensure that they have access to the assistance and protection they need. Ultimately, combating paid harassment against survivors of domestic violence and abuse requires a collective effort to challenge the toxic dynamics that enable such behavior to thrive. By recognizing the inherent harms of incentivizing engagement at any cost and prioritizing the well-being and dignity of survivors, we can work towards creating a more compassionate and just society both online and offline. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, share and follow us for more.